Hello! Okay, so I thought I would do a video because it was somewhat relevant to my life about why I started YouTube. It's kind of like in reaction to like my dad asking me this week, like, so what's up with this YouTube thing? And me being like, because I want to, Dad, like a little spoiled teenager. Like, I got really defensive. But actually, it is kind of like a good question. Like, why would you want to do YouTube? Nobody really thinks twice about, like, everybody does Instagram. Like, obviously, everybody does Facebook. And all social media is, like, a little bit of, like, a thirst trap, like, wanting, like, attention. And also, like, a way to communicate with others. So, obviously, like, both those, like, play into, like, why I wanted to do YouTube. One was to, like, get some sort of, like, positive attention, and two was to, like, communicate with others. So those are, like, givens, right? I think YouTube in specific is to get attention for things other than, like, for things that are more purposeful, like things that are, like, my interests, and not just, like, my job or, like, me posing with, like, a friend. Like, I think YouTube is a little more, like, content specific, which is, like, something that interests me. But anyway, to kind of try and follow, like, a linear explanation, the reason I started YouTube is this year was incredibly stressful for me. So, background knowledge, I teach special education in, like, a high poverty district, public education. That can be very, very, very stressful. And I'm single and I have no kids. So, like, when you have a very stressful job that, like, have many components that are outside of your control, and you're a very, like, I think I'm like an ENFP, whatever that emotional scale thing is like me down. Like, I, this year, obsessed my A off about my job, and, like, a lot of it was out of my control, and, like, especially, like, living, like, in the Midwest, like, in the winter, like, you have, like, a very long day, and it can be as long as you allow it. So if you want to stay for 13 hours and then come home and work some more, that can happen. And, like, I had no, like, checks or balances of, like, a husband or kids. Not that I necessarily want those things, but I didn't have, like, anything to be like, okay, time to turn that off, time to turn that stress off. So I would literally just, like, worry. And I swore to myself going into this summer, like, I need to be more productive with my time, because, like, working long does not mean working effectively. Sometimes it's just, like, working yourself to the point of being ineffective, which I think is what I did. So I was like, I cannot, like, I need to, like, reset this summer and figure out a way to do this, like, in a more healthy manner. Like, I need to not have my teaching be my life, right? So that was one thing that, like, kind of is in the background of, like, why I eventually ended up on YouTube. Another thing was, like, I found that, well, there's another two things. One, I've had, like, a lot of sad stuff happen. Like, I've had my mother and my brother and my grandma pass away within the course of, like, 2 years. So that's another, like, really sad thing that I found myself, like, obsessing on. And it's like, you can, what's that expression? Like, you can get busy dying, or you can get busy living. Like, there's only, like, so much, like, sorrow you can have. It's not, like, it's important to grieve, but, like, all you're doing is grieving and working a stressful job. Like, that is not a way to live, which is what I found myself doing this year. Just kind of alienating myself. So, like, this is not gonna be, like, a fully depressing thing. On to the brighter things. Like, I think that this happens to a lot of people when there's somebody at my door. Go away. When right after I talk about don't alienate yourself, stay out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like strangers coming to the door. But anyway, I think that this happens to a lot of people, like, as they get, like, in their 30s, and they work, like, jobs and have, like, real lives. Is, like, I, like, completely, like, had forgotten about, like, a lot of things that were like huge interests of mine that like were points of pride for me, and that like I think made like a fuller Kelly in my 20s. So like obviously I have not featured all of those things like on YouTube because I'm trying to figure it all out. But like I used to be like incredibly well read. I used to go to a lot of concerts. I like kind of was like very in touch with like what was going on like underground musically. Oh my god, I need to stop doing this. I'm not even doing it correctly. Like I think it's supposed to be this, and I'm just like I shouldn't make that face. Anyway, you get my point. So and like I had like gained weight. I just basically I had felt like I had like lost myself. So here in comes YouTube. I thought for a long time, maybe I'll do a podcast, maybe I'll do a blog. Like I've always been told that like I'm fairly funny, and like I believe that to be true. And I thought, what's a way for me to like kind of share this gift? No, like what's a way for me to like be creative and do something that is going to force me to like do like my hobbies and hold me accountable for that. And I've started watching YouTube a lot. And I like, because I have like kind of like specific interests, and because I get bored with like what's on TV. So like I watched like different comedians. I watched like, I got into it through like watching like makeup tutorials, like all this stuff. And it's like such great escapism, and it's can be like so niche, but then you start to like fall in love with like people's personalities, and then like you follow like a specific person on YouTube. So I thought like that's cool. Like I have very like niche interests that I could like go into, and then like, and I kind of ruled out podcasts and all that because I personally I don't really read blogs, and I don't really listen to podcasts other than like sleep podcasts because I don't have attention for just audio. I watch YouTube, so I thought, okay, well then this is like the model that I'm seeing, then I'll go ahead and follow said model. So that's how I found like the outlet that I hopefully will keep up with. And the goal in doing the YouTube thing is like not to be like YouTube famous, although like that would be cool, but it is, I think, to like hold myself accountable to like continuing to like pursue like my interests in like antiquing and like all like the kind of quirky things that made me happy. Reading, like I want to like start like reading again and like assessing like what I think of like a book, or like binging like good TV shows that aren't just filler or like depressing news, and like conversing with people like online about like, okay, what did you think about, like I'm gonna do like Dead to Me, like, and then eventually I want to do Fleabag, and like just different like cultural phenomenons. Eventually I want to do like, I watch reaction videos out the A of like RuPaul's Drag Race because it's interesting to me to see like what do other people who have a similar interest to me, like what's their take on this thing. And I think that's like something that's really cool about YouTube in specific. Like I feel like, I mean, the beauty world is like an aside, but I feel like Instagram and Facebook are more about like presenting like kind of a curated, I like keeping up with the Joneses types of social media. Like they can be like authentic and raw, which I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, although I kind of have a problem with like putting forth like strictly like a fake face. But I think that Instagram and Facebook, there's a little bit more negative. I feel like Twitter, except for the president and, well, whatever, politics aside, but like Twitter and like YouTube are like a little bit more off the cuff. Like you get like more of a feel for like the actual person, and like, and it's more like content specific. I'm going to say YouTube specifically. So anyway, that is why I'm joining YouTube. It's not like a desperate cry for attention. It's more of a way to, if it were a desperate cry for attention, at least I'm not out doing something illegal. I'm trying to like monitor myself, so like if I actually like anybody sees this, I'm not gonna be like in trouble. But yeah, like there are worse ways to like get attention than to like post a YouTube video about gnomes. You can hate me now. Anyway, so that is why I'm doing YouTube, and hopefully I'll continue to do it and do stuff that is interesting to not just me. Have a good day.